Okay, I'm here. I got 6 days before the Burpee Challenge. Depending on when you see this video, it's obviously going to be less. I'm going to be doing them right here, the Burpee Challenge. I'm doing 1,000 burpees here in the studio. And you're probably wondering, why the hell are you doing 1,000 burpees, Steve? And it's a good question. It's a fair question, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. First, it's to raise money. We've got to raise money because we need an AED here and a defibrillator mainly for me here in the studio. But also, the extra funds that we raise, which I hope there's a lot, are going to go to our local hospital, the Delta Hospital Society, we've got a great community hospital here. They can always use some extra funding. The second reason that I'm doing this is because I can. I'm testing myself, because a year ago, there was no way that I was even close to being in a position to be able to do this kind of take on this kind of a physical challenge. 1,000 burpees is a lot, I gotta tell you. The training for it hurts, and I know it's gonna hurt a lot, but I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna do it because I can. I'm testing myself. But the third reason is because this is a message for you, that you can do it too. I'm 59 years old, I was out of shape, I was fat, I was diabetic, I was at a point where I couldn't even envision doing this sort of thing. But I want to set a challenge for myself, but also for you to say, this is something that you can do. Not only is it something you can do, no, I'm not talking about 1,000 burpees. I'm talking about getting control of your physical health, getting your diet under control, getting into exercise, making yourself healthier and happier. This is not something that you can do. This is something you should do. I just realized that maybe I should provide some context, and you might not know about this Burpee Challenge. I talked about it in an earlier vlog, but allow me to recap. We don't have an AED, an automatic defibrillator, in the club that I work out in the studio that I do my workout in. And I've been bugging the owner for ages to get one. But it's an expensive piece of hardware, a couple $1,000s, and it just wasn't in the budget. So I said, I'll do a fundraiser for it. And I thought I could do something really easy, like do a plank for like 10 minutes, and everybody give me $1 a minute, and we'd raise the money, and we're done. PJ, who owns the club, says, that's boring, Steve. Nobody cares about you doing planks. Do burpees. I said, I hate doing burpees. She said, that's the point. Everybody hates doing burpees. They will support you if you do burpees. So I guess the proof's in the pudding now. I'm doing the burpees. Are you going to support me? I'm hoping that the online community will step up and say, that's a great idea, Steve. We support you in your effort to get fit. So I'm hoping that you will say, I'm going to toss $10 Steve's way. A, to support him in his venture to raise enough money for an AED, but B, as a down payment on my own future. If I can do this, you can do this. So many of us, if we just take the first step, are in a position that we can improve our quality of life. We can improve our longevity. We can improve our mobility. We can improve our mental and physical health. We can decrease our dependencies on drugs by taking some responsibility and some ownership. I've done it, and this 1,000 burpees is really testament to that fact. There's no way on earth that a year ago I would have even envisioned that I could do this, much less actually be willing to take the step, put myself forward, and do it. But that's where I am. I hope that you'll think about it and contribute. And in that contribution, that should solidify the fact that this is something that you can do as well. End of sermon. Let's talk about webinars. So I am just getting ready to record and to edit a few interviews for Webinar Palooza, but I wanted to touch with you and talk a little bit about webinars. We're in webinar season here at dottotech, and 2 weeks ago we hosted an event called Webinar Palooza. See, the biggest challenge if you want to get into doing webinars is choosing which platform you're going to work with. At least that's the biggest initial challenge, is figuring out which platform you're going to work with, because the toolkit that you use is really going to determine a lot about the structure and the style of webinars that you deliver and the effectiveness of your webinars. So picking the right tool is essential, but it's difficult to do. All of the nuances of how you register people and what the landing pages look like and what it's like once you open a room and the performance side and what it's like as a participant, what they see, how the chat works, how the replays work. There's a lot of moving parts to delivering a good webinar. And it's something which is a passion of mine. I love the idea of webinars. I love the magic of being able to create a broadcast from your home studio. This is magic. Webinars are pure magic, and there's such an opportunity. But picking the right tool, so important. So in Webinar Palooza, what we do is we test out these tools, and I say we have about a 360-degree view of how these tools work, because you get to participate from a participant. So you get to see what it's like as a participant if you go through the webinar. Then what I do is, after the Webinar Palooza is over, is we create a learning module. I host it in Thinkific, the platform where we host all of our online courses. And inside there is a webinar replay. So if you missed Webinar Palooza, you can watch the replay. It's kind of boring, actually. It's because it's basically going from webinar platform to webinar platform. But you can see the webinar platforms you're most interested in. Then we have additional videos where I walk through the administrative consoles and the back end of each of the tools, as well as what it's like doing a broadcast from each of the tools. Plus, wherever possible, I interview the creators and the founders of the tools, or at least their marketing managers, so we can understand where the tools are coming from, who they think their tools are ideal for, and where they're going in the future. So you get about, I say, a 360-degree view of all of the things that are involved in these 6 different webinar packages. But it's a hell of a lot of work putting this thing together, I gotta say. We're almost done now. We've got the Webinar Palooza has been delivered, it's been uploaded, the site's active. We've incorporated elements from some of the webinars platforms, and I'm just getting the 2 of the webinar platforms, the interviews in, along with the demonstration. So I'm getting that done right now. That's kind of the project that I'm working on now. But I thought I'd take a second before I do all of the editing on those videos and talk to you a little bit about my webinar setup, because choosing the right hardware is pretty much as important as choosing the right webinar tool. And it's a lot more fun choosing the hardware, because hardware. So I use pretty much the same video setup as I use for my screencasting and for our YouTube videos. My audio system is my Electro Voice RE20 microphone that's hooked in through this mixing board, which does analog to digital conversion. And we've got a tool called the Cloud Lifter, which increases the gain of the RE20 because it's a little low on gain. Now, I realize I got very techie for people that are not audiophiles. If you're into audio, you are interested in what I said about the RE20 and the Electro Voice, most of us should just look and get a good quality USB mic, something like the Blue Yeti. By the way, I've got a download that you can get access to. I'll put a link below in the description, but it's called Steve's Toolkit, and I've got all of the different tools that I use for everything from productivity tools to webinar tools to screencasting tools to even these vlogging tools that I'm using now to create this vlog. I've got all of this in a single document so you can see exactly the tools that I'm using and the ones that I recommend. So don't worry if you don't write this down. Just download and sign up for that Steve's Toolkit, and it's got all of my current tools, and I update it on a regular basis. So check that out. But once we're past the audio, and audio is crucial to good webinars, as far as a camera goes, I'm using this camera here. Can you see it in the shot? Yes, you can. This camera right here, which is a Logitech Brio. This is their newest camera as of when I'm recording this video. It replaces the Logitech C920, which is the webcam that we used for ever so long, that were available for around $70. Still is. It still is a great choice. This is more than double the cost, but it's a 4K camera. I'm not sure we're really interested in broadcasting in 4K, but it has far better control over low light situations. It's got a nice wide screen. It's a really nice looking camera. I'm really enjoying using it for both webinars and for screencasting. So that's a Logitech Brio is my camera of choice. Now, I deliver my webinars just using my main computer, which is an old Mac Pro. It's a workstation computer with tons of memory and a strong video card. I think they're great bang for the buck. But here's the important thing that we do in our webinars, which I think you should consider if you are going to deliver webinars, is I always have a second computer right beside my first one that's live during the webinar. And it's not a backup computer for broadcast, but it is a backup computer where I'm watching the broadcast coming as if I was a participant. So I log in as a regular attendee of the webinar, and I audit the feed, make sure that everything is going smoothly in the feed here. But I also do a backup recording here in case all of our other recording options fail. I record the webinar here so that if everything else doesn't work, I've got a good recording that I can use to later on share and to create a repeat of the webinar. The rest of the setup is I've got beautiful windows here. But I've got big kind of almost halfway up the floor to ceiling windows, which gives me great natural light here. And then I've also got a backup of LED lights on that are mounted on the wall. So I've got good quality light, because good quality light's going to give you good quality video. And then I've built my office set here. If you followed the story here of the new office that I'm in, my new home office, I've built this to be a really nice set so that it looks great in the background. I don't really want to have a green screen and key the set over, although you can key over rooms and all that sort of stuff with webinar tools. But I've tried to create a nice, nurturing, warm environment that's comfortable. And I'll talk about the reasons I did that in later videos. But I've got a good quality background. And some of the things that you pay attention to is making sure the background is clean and not cluttered. And you're basically, it's like you're letting visitors into your office. So make sure that you've got a good, clean environment when you're delivering webinars. But I'm not really here to talk today about set decoration. Instead, we wanted to talk about webinar hardware, and that's my tools.